In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the Harlow beanie. This beanie is available in 6 different sizes, from baby right through to adult large. I'm going to be demonstrating the child size, but all of the techniques I use will apply to all of the sizes, and I'll leave a link in the description box so you can check out the written pattern. I am using Yarn Smith's Pebble Haze, which is a beautiful yarn. It's DK weight. It's made from a cotton and acrylic mix, and it's a lovely chainette yarn. So this is really nice to work with. I'm choosing to use one colour as my base colour. So you have your main colour, colour A, and then you'll need a colour B as well, which is going to be your contrast colour. You're going to need 2 different crochet hooks. You're going to need a 4mm hook and also a 5mm hook, which we'll use throughout the project. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends, and of course some pom-poms if you wish to apply them to the top of your hat. This one here, I have not got a pom-pom. I will be putting a pom-pom on there, but that is optional if you prefer. Okay, let's get started. So to begin, we're going to take our colour A and you're going to create a slip knot in whichever method you prefer. Go ahead and take your 4mm crochet hook and insert into your slip knot. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be making the child size, but you can refer to the pattern for the additional sizes. We're going to go ahead and begin by chaining 16. So that's yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So this is going to create the band, and this band is going to fold in half. So if you prefer a deeper band, you can absolutely extend this if you want to, and this obviously does change depending on the size that you're making. But if you want to adapt this for personal preference, you can add some chains to make this a little bit deeper. So from here, we're going to do a half treble crochet into the second chain from the hook, so not the one that's on the hook. We have 1 and 2, and this is a UK half treble, which is a half double crochet in US terms. So we're going to yarn over and insert into that second chain from the hook, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and we have 1 stitch here. This missed chain does not count as a stitch. We're then going to work 1 half treble into each stitch all the way across, or each chain all the way across, and for this size you're going to have 15 stitches. Again, please refer to the pattern or the blog post in order to see the other sizes, but we're just going to work 1 half treble in each chain all the way across. So go ahead, pause the video, work your way across, and meet me back in a moment. So here's what your work is looking like so far. So if I just bring this hat here and undo it, this is the section that we're making. So we're going to make 1 long piece. So let's go ahead and move on to row 2. We're going to turn our work and chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch here or throughout this section. We're going to go ahead and do a back loop only half treble. So if we're working into a stitch as normal, we're working in like this, and you'll have the V on the stitch. In this case, we're only going to work into that back loop, and we're going to work our half treble, which is a US half double crochet. So yarn over, go into that back loop only, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and you're going to continue this all the way across. So remember to keep count of your stitches to make sure you're not dropping a stitch, especially when you come to that final stitch. Go ahead, pause the video, work your way across this row, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just worked my way across. I'm just about to put my last stitch into this last stitch of the previous row. So it does look like it's on a bit of an angle, but we're going to pop it in there. Now, if you really do struggle with keeping count of your rows, I would recommend that you grab yourself a stitch marker and you can go ahead and pop that into the very first stitch that you've worked. So for example, we're going to move on to the next row, chain one and turn, and then work our half treble into the back loop only of that first stitch. And then you can take your stitch marker. In fact, I'm just going to add one more stitch just to make it easier to show you. We've just done 2 stitches there. That's the last stitch that we've just done. And then this is the very first stitch, which just looks like it's coming over the edge. So if you do lose count easily, then go ahead and pop that stitch marker in your first stitch, because then when you come back to that stitch, you know where to place your last one. And then when you do it on the next round, you will have a stitch marker to move up for each row. So you want to go ahead and just keep working this row until you have the amount of rows that you need. So in my case, I need 50 rows altogether. And if I just bring this back over here, you can see that we have created some ridges, the ridged effect, and you will have one sitting backwards and then one sitting forwards. So when you count, say for example, this is our chain here, we have one sitting backwards and one sitting forwards. You've got the ridge. You can actually count sort of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, etc. So you can count up in 2s, but you want to be looking for that ridged effect where it drops forwards and drops back, and that's how you're going to count your rows. So go ahead and keep working your rows until you have the amount that you need, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've now done my 50 rows, and this should measure for me around 18 inches when lightly stretched. So we're about spot on for that. So go ahead and measure yours to make sure you're coming out at the right size. So now we're going to fold the short sides together and we're going to connect up. And what we're going to do here is we're going to chain one and we're going to slip stitch into the back loop only of the final row and then into the underside of the chain from row 1. So here's the underside of the chain just here, and we're going to slip stitch into there and then into the next back loop only of the next stitch and then the underside of the chain. And you're going to work this all the way across. You might find that your initial chain is a little bit wider than this final one, but as we join together, that will all work itself out. So we're going to continue all the way across, doing our back loop only slip stitch into the final row and then the slip stitch into, or catching the underside of the chain from the first row. So go ahead, work your way across and then meet me back once you're ready. So now that you've created your band, we're going to go ahead and flip the work around so that you have the right side facing out. And now we're going to start to work in rounds and we're going to work around here. So we've made our band and joined it, and now we're going to work in circles to create the main hat section. So at this point we do actually want to remove our crochet hook and grab the larger size, which is the 5mm crochet hook, and insert that into the working loop. Now for round 1, we're going to go ahead and chain 1. This does not count as a stitch here or throughout. And we're going to work 3 double crochets, so that's US single crochet, per 2 rows of half treble. So if you remember, we looked at these ridges. So we have 1 row here and then another row, that's 2 rows. So it goes up, down, up, down. We know that we want to work 3 double crochets or single crochets in US terms across those 2 rows. So the way I like to do this is just select where I'm going to place these. So I like to go into the row end just here, so just before this upside down V. And then I like to go just the other side of that V and then into the row end. So that's 3. You can mark that very first stitch with a stitch marker if you wish. So again, we're going to go into the row end, just the other side of this V, and then into the row end. And that's another 3 stitches, and then into the row end, the other side of the V, and into the row end. And you're going to work that all the way round, placing your stitches so they're nice and even. Remember, pick where you're going to put them and then do that consistently all the way round. Pause the video, work your way until your last stitches, and then meet me back once you're ready. So you've now worked your way around and you've done your 3 double crochets, US single crochets per 2 rows. And if you're working the baby, the child, or the adult large, we are going to add an additional stitch into the same space as the final stitch. So we'll go ahead and work 1 in there because I'm doing the child size. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch, so not the chain 1. We're going to find that very first stitch, join with a slip stitch, join with a slip stitch. However, we are going to change to the next colour, so colour B. So make a loop with your colour B, yarn over and pull through, and we are going to leave colour A still connected. So you don't need to do any fastening off with that. So round 2 and 3 are going to be a pattern repeat. So we are going to go ahead and start with our round 2. We're not going to chain 1, we're just going to do a double crochet into this very first stitch. So double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're going to work a treble crochet. So this is a US double crochet. So yarn over, you might want to just lay your tail end down, so work over this as you're working, and then work a treble crochet, which is yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull through 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. And we're going to repeat this all the way round. So double crochet into the next stitch, followed by a treble crochet. And it's this simple: double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet, treble crochet. Go ahead and work that all the way round, so double crochet and treble crochet all the way round until you're just about to work your final treble crochet, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so we're going to work our final treble into that last stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the very first stitch, which is this one here. You may just need to pull that slightly just to get into it. But we are going, for this round, when we're changing back to colour A, we're going to go into the stitch, and we're going to do this slightly differently for the next round. So we're going to insert our hook into that very first stitch, and then I'm just going to move colour B over here and pick up colour A and pull that through. So again, we're not fastening off any colours. I'm just going to pull down on colour B, and then I'm going to turn my work, because this stitch pattern works when we turn our work. So now we have the wrong side facing us, and we are using colour A, and that's how you're going to know you're on the right track. Whenever you're using colour A, you have the wrong side facing you. So now what we're going to do here is we're just going to move on to round 3. We aren't going to chain 1, we're just going to lift our hook up slightly so that we can begin with our first stitch. And I'm going to go into this final treble from the last round, so working into that stitch. And you notice here I am kind of working over this tension right here, the working yarn. So we're going into the stitch and working a double crochet, and then we're going to work a treble crochet, US double crochet into the next stitch. So you're working that treble crochet into the double from the previous round, or in US terms you're working this double crochet into the single crochet from the previous round. And we're just going to repeat that all the way around. Double crochet, treble crochet, so exactly the same as before. Super easy. Double crochet, treble crochet, double and treble. Go ahead and pause the video and work your way round until you get to your final few stitches, and then meet me back and I'm going to show you how to finish off this round. So I've now worked my way around. I have 2 stitches remaining, so I have my double crochet and then I have my final treble crochet. My treble crochet just goes in this stitch right here. It can be a little bit tight. Work your treble there, and then we're going to do something a little bit different for this joining with a slip stitch. What we want to do is we want to bring this colour A forwards, so towards us, so that it's on the inside of the work. Instead of slip stitching like we normally do, we're going to go from back to front, which is technically the front of the work, to the back of the work. And then we're going to pick up our colour B and then pull that through. And that just keeps that colour change really nice and neat and tidy, so that we can turn our work and begin our next round. So this is a 2-row repeat. So again, we're going to just go straight into that treble crochet and work a double crochet and then a treble crochet, and work that all the way round. Double crochet, treble crochet, double and treble. So it's super easy. It's just knowing where you're going to, or how you're going to do your slip stitch to join, so that it looks nice and neat and tidy. So for my size, I'm doing 27 rounds. Please check the pattern to see how many rounds you should be doing for your size. And when it comes to counting the rounds, it's really easy. This colour B here, this first colour B that we see, that is your round 2, because this one is our round 1. So you can just count 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. from your colour Bs. So go ahead and work that until you are at the size that you are wanting, and then meet me back once you're ready. I've now completed my 27 rounds, and what you want to do is just double check you've got the right amount, and I'm going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch just as normal this time into that very first stitch. You can go ahead and fasten off your colour B. I've already done mine, so I'm just going to tuck mine away for now. And you also want to fasten off your colour A, but you want to leave a long tail end because we are going to be using this to sew up the top of the beanie. So go ahead and fasten off with a long tail end, and then take out your crochet hook, grab your darning needle, and we're going to go ahead and start to sew up the top of this beanie. So we're going to scrunch it up so it will gather in the middle. So as I say, take your darning needle and we're going to go ahead and just weave in and out of every other stitch across the top of the work. I actually have mine the right way out here, but I would suggest that you turn it inside out first of all. And as I say, in and out of the tops of each of the stitches or every other stitch, and you can pull the yarn as you are doing this as well, so just ruche the stitches round as you're working around. I've now worked my way around, and what you want to do here is just pull on the tail end. You might need to put your hands inside the beanie just to help with this, but you want to pull, and don't worry if it doesn't close completely because we are going to add a few extra stitches in here, but this is just a really simple way of closing up the top of a hat. Now because I have mine the right way round, I am just going to poke my darning needle through the top of the hat and now turn it inside out, but as I say, you could probably start with it inside out to begin with, and that this will help. It will mean you don't have to do it right now, but as I've pulled it through, I'm going to pull tight again to close it as much as I can, and then I'm just going to take my darning needle and sew from one side to the other side, and then across, so you're almost making an X in the top of the beanie, and this will just really help to cinch in the rest of the enclosure. We are going to be adding a pom-pom, so if you are adding a pom-pom, it will cover any gapping in the top anyway, but doing this method should help to reduce that anyway. You don't have to add a pom-pom if you don't want to, but I think it looks really cute with it. So I'm not going to fasten off my yarn at this point. I'm simply going to tie a knot in the bottom or a couple of knots just to make sure that it's nice and secure. So just doing that now, and I'm going to add another one as well, again just to make sure that it's really nice and secure. And I'm going to use this tail end to add my pom-pom. So there are different ways to apply a pom-pom. I'm actually just going to sew mine on the top. So this is the pom-pom that I'm using, and you can see that it has a loop just here. There are different types that you can get. Now I like these because you can actually add a button to the inside of the beanie, which makes the pom-pom removable. You just pull the loop through and then attach it to the button. I don't actually have a button here with me, so I am just going to sew this on, but my preferred method would be to use a button. That's especially good if you are doing the child sizes because you know you're probably going to be washing them a lot. So my crochet hook is going through here and I'm pulling through that loop, and what I'm going to do is use that tail end that I was using before and then just sew this on, going through the loop of the pom-pom. So I'll just do this quite a number of times just to make sure that it's really nice and secure. And what I will do after this is fasten off and then sew in my ends so that everything is really nice and secure. So you can go ahead and do the same and sew that other end in, and then you can turn it the right way round. Fluff out your pom-pom. You can actually get, if your pom-pom's a bit flat, you can get a hairdryer and blow it out a little bit just to fluff it up. And then we're going to go ahead and fold over the bottom. So the Harlow beanie is from baby right up to adult, and you can have fun playing around with the different colour combinations. You could leave the pom-pom off if you wish, but I hope that you have enjoyed making this project. Please make sure you share this video if you did, and you might also like this video right here too.